In a small town far from the busy cities, an old man named Jack lived alone. He was once a space pilot, brave and skilled, but now he fixed broken machines and stayed away from people. Jack had a small workshop filled with metal parts, old tools. In a ship he had hidden for many years, no one knew that this ship once flew through deep space. One night, while Jack was fixing a broken radio, something strange happened. The radio crackled and buzzed. But it wasn't normal noise. Jack leaned closer and heard a soft voice. It was a woman, whispering in a language he couldn't understand, but somehow he felt her fear, her pain, and her desperation. Suddenly, the signal changed. Jack's old ship lit up, even though it had no power. Its lights flashed, and the engine hummed like it was waking from a long sleep. Jack stared in shock. Impossible, he whispered. The ship hadn't moved in years. He checked the skies. There it was, a flash of blue light moving faster than anything he had seen before. It wasn't a satellite, and it wasn't from Earth. Something, or someone, was coming. It was calling him. Jack's hand shook, but deep inside, his old instincts returned. He ran to the ship, powered it up, took off before the government could track him. He didn't know where he was going, but the signal pulled him like a magnet. The stars flew past as he followed the voice through space. Hours later, Jack reached an empty zone between two planets. No light, no sound, just black space. Suddenly, a bright flash exploded in front of him. A small escape pod came spinning out of nowhere and crashed into his ship. Jack rushed to open the pod, and there she was, a woman with glowing silver skin, long dark hair, and eyes that shimmered like stars. She was weak, shaking, and barely breathing. Jack carried her to the med bay and tried to help. She opened her eyes and stared at him. "You're human," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. Jack nodded, confused. "Why were you calling me?" he asked. The woman tried to sit up but winced in pain. "I didn't mean to," she said. "My bond signal." It reached too far. Jack frowned. "Bond signal." The woman looked away, ashamed. "My kind. We connect through emotion. Through energy, we call it bonding," she said. "I needed help. I sent out a signal. But it reached you." Jack didn't understand. She looked human. But she was clearly not from Earth. She was scared, but also hiding something. Jack had seen many lies in his life, and he knew when someone was keeping secrets as she rested. Jack tried to check the ship's data, but the systems were acting strange. His navigation was jammed, and the ship's AI kept repeating one word: bond incomplete. Suddenly, the woman cried out in pain. Jack rushed to her. "What's happening?" he asked. She clutched her chest and screamed. "If I don't bond, I'll die," she said. Jack froze. "Bond with who?" The woman looked at him with glowing tears in her eyes. "You," she said. "The signal chose you, your mind. Your energy matched mine." Jack stepped back. "No, I don't even know you," he said. Her body trembled. "I didn't want this, but now it's too late. The process has started." Jack was confused and angry. He wanted to help, but he didn't want to be a part of something he didn't understand. "Tell me the truth," Jack said. "What does bonding really mean?" She looked at him, her face full of fear and sadness. "It means we share everything," she said. "Thoughts, emotions, even pain. If one dies, the other dies too." Jack stared at her, shocked. He didn't sign up for this. He just wanted a quiet life, away from war, from people, from everything. But now, he was tied to a dying alien woman who needed him to survive. And worse, his ship was already changing because of her. The walls glowed, the systems obeyed her presence. As he stood there, trying to make sense of everything, she whispered one last line before falling unconscious. "What do I have to do?" "To bond with you tonight, human?" Jack stood frozen outside the window. Something moved in the darkness of space. Something big, something fast. The signal wasn't just a call for help. It was a trail. And now, something was following it. Asterisk, Jack sat quietly near the sleeping alien woman. The soft hum of the ship filled the silence, but his mind was racing. Everything had changed in just a few hours. He had left Earth without a plan, found a stranger from the stars. And now they were somehow connected. But he didn't trust her. Not yet. The woman's breathing was slow, but not peaceful. Her skin glowed softly, and strange symbols moved like ink across her arms. Jack had never seen anything like it. She looked human in many ways, but her energy was something else, powerful, alive, unpredictable. Suddenly her eyes opened. Bright and glowing, they locked onto Jack like she had known him forever. "Your mind is loud," she said, her voice soft but clear. "You dream of war." Of someone named Alina. Jack stood up quickly. "How do you know that name?" he asked, voice sharp. She sat up slowly, pain in her eyes. "I saw her in your thoughts." She whispered, "She was important to you." Jack didn't answer. He clenched his jaw and turned away. No one had spoken Elena's name in years. She was the reason he had left the war, the reason he had buried his ship. And now this alien, who claimed to be helpless, was digging into his soul. "I didn't mean to," she said. "When the bond begins, it's not just energy, it's emotion, memory, fear." Jack looked at her, searching for lies in her words. "You said you didn't choose me, but you know everything about me," he said. "That doesn't sound like an accident." The woman lowered her eyes. "My name is Sarah," she said. "I belong to a race called the Varelians. We survive through connection." She paused, then continued. "But not everyone accepts the bond. Your kind, your species, is not compatible." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Then why am I here? Why is your ship, your signal, calling to me?" Sarah looked up, her eyes filled with something Jack hadn't expected. Guilt. "Because I lied," she said quietly. Jack felt the air shift around him. The ship's lights flickered, and the temperature dropped slightly. "You what?" he asked, taking a step closer. "I didn't just send out a signal," she said. "I chose you, your mind, your pain. It matched my frequency. You used me," Jack said, voice low and angry. Sarah didn't deny it. "I was dying," she said, "and I needed someone strong, someone broken enough to let me in." Jack turned away, fists clenched. "You don't get to play with my memories," he said. "I'm not your experiment." "I'm not trying to hurt you," she said. "But now we are linked, and I can't break it." Jack looked at her with cold eyes. "Then maybe I should break it for you," he said, reaching for the emergency stasis injector. But before he could press the button, Sarah screamed. Her body jolted, and her skin glowed brighter. The ship's systems went wild. Alarms blared, lights flashed red, and the engines shook. Jack dropped the injector and rushed to the console. "What's happening?" he shouted. Sarah fell to her knees, breathing hard. "They found us," she said. "My people. They don't want me to bond with a human. They think it's dangerous." Jack stared at the radar. A large object was moving toward them, fast. "Who exactly is following you?" he asked. Sarah looked at him, fear in her voice. "The enforcers," she said. "They erase broken bonds. And the humans they touch." Jack slammed a button and started moving the ship. "We're not going down without a fight," he said. Sarah crawled to the co-pilot seat. "I can help," she said, "if I focus. I can shield us for a short time." Jack glanced at her. "You said humans can't bond. Why is this working at all?" Sarah smiled weakly. "Because you're not like other humans," she said. "You've already lost everything. That makes your heart open, even if you don't want it to be." Jack didn't know how to respond to that. He gripped the controls and pushed the ship into hyper mode. The stars stretched into long lines as they vanished into a warp tunnel. Silence returned for now. Sarah closed her eyes, sweat on her forehead. She looked peaceful. But Jack knew peace was far away. He walked to the back of the ship and opened a locked drawer. Inside was a photo of Alina and a small metal pendant. He stared at it, then looked back at Sarah. "Why me?" he whispered. "Why now?" The pendant pulsed with light for the first time in years. And deep in the ship's system, the AI whispered a message. "Bond progressing. Emotional merge. 14%. Jack felt something stir inside him. This wasn't just a mission, and Sarah wasn't just a lost alien. Something bigger was coming, and it had already begun. In the quiet silence of deep space, Jack sat at the controls. His hands moved with precision. But his mind was not calm. Sarah rested in the back of the ship, her body weak, her energy low. Jack could still feel her presence in his thoughts. Not words, not images, but emotions, fear, confusion, guilt, and something else. Something warmer. Jack had been a pilot during the worst years of the Earth colony wars. He had flown through asteroid fields, escaped laser storms, and survived near-death missions. But nothing ever made his heart pound like this silent chase. In the dark, because this time, he wasn't just protecting himself. He was protecting someone he didn't understand, someone who wasn't even human. The radar flickered. A red light flashed once, then disappeared. Jack leaned forward, adjusting. The sensors, then it appeared again, a faint echo behind them. "Someone's following us," he muttered, before he could wake Sarah. The ship's alarm triggered. The red light turned into a triangle, a mark Jack remembered well. It was not just any ship. It was a Varelian hunter-class vessel, used by enforcers, fast, cold, and deadly. Sarah's people had arrived, and they were not here to talk. Jack slammed the controls and sent the ship diving through a broken asteroid belt. Rocks the size of houses floated silently, but at high speed, even one small mistake could be fatal. The enemy ship followed, slipping through space like a shadow. It didn't fire. Not yet, it was waiting for something. Sarah stumbled into the cockpit, holding the wall for support. "They're here," she said weakly. "I can feel them. Why aren't they shooting?" Jack asked. Eyes locked on the screen. "They want to capture us," Sarah said. "They want to erase the bond, not destroy us. Just reset us." Jack's grip tightened. "I'm not some lab rat," he said. Sarah sat down beside him, placing her hand near the console. Suddenly, the ship's energy rose, shields increased, engines hummed stronger. "You boosted the system," Jack said, surprised. She nodded. "I can enhance technology with thought, but only for a short time." Behind them, the hunter ship launched a pulse net, a glowing web of energy meant to trap ships without killing them. Jack's ship twisted hard to the left, scraping a massive asteroid. Metal screamed, sparks flew. But they escaped the net by inches. "That was too close," Jack muttered. Sarah looked at him. "There's a place we can hide," she said. "An old mining station built inside a moon." Jack nodded. "Give me the coordinates." She closed her eyes, and suddenly the map updated itself. "Got it," Jack said, pushing the ship into warp again. As the stars stretched around them, Jack looked at Sarah. "Why are they really after you?" he asked. "You said bonding with a human is rare, maybe even impossible, so why hunt you for trying?" Sarah hesitated. "Because it's forbidden," she said quietly. "If a bond works, it could change everything." Jack frowned. "Change? What?" Sarah looked away. "The Varelian leaders want control, not connection," she said. "They believe real emotion makes us weak." Jack laughed bitterly. "Sounds familiar," he said, remembering Earth's past. "Then why did you risk it?" he asked. "Why pick me?" Sarah turned to face him, her voice soft but firm. "Because I didn't want to survive just to live under their rules," she said. "I wanted something real, even if it kills me." Silence filled the cockpit. Jack didn't speak, but he didn't look away either. He was starting to understand her, not fully, but enough to know she wasn't lying. Moments later, they reached the moon base. It looked abandoned from outside, cracked, cold, forgotten. Jack guided the ship through a narrow opening, landing inside a metal hangar filled with dust and shadows. As the engines powered down, Sarah touched the walls. "This place is old, but safe for now," she said. Jack checked his weapons and looked around. "If they tracked us here, we won't have long," he said. Suddenly, the ship's AI spoke, warning. "Identity scan detected." Jack rushed to the console. "Someone just pinged us from orbit," he said. Sarah's eyes widened. "They're calling for backup." Then something even stranger happened. A signal burst through the screen, and it wasn't from the enemy. It was an old Earth frequency, encrypted. Jack opened it. A voice spoke, deep, calm, familiar. "Jack, if you're hearing this, you found one of them." Jack's blood ran cold. It was Admiral Rowan, his old commander, presumed dead. "Years ago," the message continued, "whatever she told you, there's more, much more. We knew about them long before they found us. Jack looked at Sarah. She was just as shocked as he was. You knew humans before we knew you? He asked. Sarah shook her head. That's not possible, but Jack could feel it now. Something much bigger was hiding in the dark. And he was no longer just running from danger, he was running toward a secret buried in the stars. Asterisk the mining. Station inside the moon was cold, dark, and full of echoes. Old metal beams groaned with age, and broken machines lay in pieces. Jack and Sarah walked quietly through the empty halls, searching for anything useful, but Jack's mind wasn't on supplies. It was on the message, the voice from Earth, Admiral Rowan, a man Jack had seen die in the Battle of Jupiter. Now speaking through a secret Earth frequency, warning him, "About Sarah's kind, if he's alive," Jack said, "then this goes deeper than I thought." Sarah followed close behind, quiet and watchful. She felt something too, not danger but memory. "I've been here before," she whispered, touching the wall. Jack stopped. "What do you mean?" Sarah frowned. "Not me exactly, but someone like me, my kind, have been here. Long ago." Jack's heart sank. "How long ago?" "Before your species had space travel," she said. "Before you even knew we existed." Jack stared at her. "You're saying your people were on Earth?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, but not as visitors, as architects." The words hit Jack like a punch. Sarah explained that a group of Varelians came to Earth centuries ago, hiding from their own leaders. They didn't want control, they wanted freedom. They saw something in humans' raw emotion, chaos, passion. They began studying them quietly. Guiding human evolution, they touched your minds, your history, your wars, Sarah said, but they never forced anything. They only nudged. Jack felt his chest tighten. "All this time, we thought we were growing on our own," he said, "but we were being shaped." Sarah placed a hand on his shoulder. "Not controlled, Jack, inspired," she said. "But then the council found out and erased the records." Jack looked away, anger building. "That means my planet has never really been free." Just then, the station lights flickered. Jack pulled out his pulse blaster. A movement appeared on the far end of the hall, but it wasn't enemy troops. It was a human in old Earth military armor. The figure raised a hand, signaling peace. Jack aimed carefully. "Who are you?" he called out. The man stepped into the light. "Older, tired, but familiar. Name's Keller," he said. "I've served with Rowan. I've been hiding here ever since." Keller led them to a hidden room deep in the base, filled with monitors, maps, and Varelian tech. He poured Jack a cup of stale coffee and looked at Sarah with cautious eyes. "You're the bond target," he said to her. Sarah tensed. "Oh," but Jack stepped between them. "She's not what you think," he said. Keller sighed. "None of them are. That's the problem." He showed Jack a digital map of Earth. Red dots marked major cities, all with Varelian energy signatures. "They're already there," Keller said. "They've been there for decades." Jack felt the weight of the truth pressing on his chest. "Why haven't they taken over?" he asked. Keller shook his head. "Because they don't need to," he said. "They've already connected with the right people. Government, corporations, tech giants." Sarah looked horrified. "No one told us this," she said. "The council swore Earth was untouched." Keller looked at her. "They lied to you. Just like they lied to us." A screen blinked. A new signal was coming through. Another Varelian ship had entered the solar system. Not a hunter, something bigger, a carrier. "Evacuation isn't possible," Keller said. "If they land, Earth becomes a data farm." Jack frowned. "What's a data farm?" Keller explained that the Varelian Council used bonded species as emotional batteries. They didn't kill them, they drained them, slowly, quietly. Using their thoughts and feelings to power their tech. "It's not war," Keller said. "It's farming, and we're the crop." Sarah stepped forward, her voice shaking. "No one on my planet knows this. If they did, they'd rebel." Keller nodded. "Which is why they silence defectors like you." The room fell silent. Jack looked at the map again, at the glowing points over Earth. He had left to escape the pain of his past, but now he realized Earth was never safe. Not for him, not for anyone. Jack stood up, ripping the pendant of Elena from around his neck. He remembered her laughter, her courage, her dream of a peaceful world. "If there's even a chance we can stop this," he said. "We take it?" Keller raised an eyebrow. "You planning to start a war?" Jack looked at Sarah, then back at Keller. "No," he said. "I'm planning to finish one that started long before I was born." Sarah stepped beside him. "If the bond completes, I'll be stronger. We might have a chance." Keller smiled. "Faintly, you two might be the last crazy hope we've got." Outside, deep in the shadows of space, the carrier ship slowly turned toward Earth. Its lights blinked in a cold, silent pattern like a heartbeat. It had arrived, and it was hungry. Jack hadn't slept in 2 days. The air inside the mining base felt thick, like it was watching him. Sarah said the bond was growing stronger, but Jack didn't feel closer to her. He felt distant. The deeper their connection grew, the more he saw things he couldn't explain. Flickers of memory that weren't his, voices in his sleep, sometimes. He'd wake up and forget where he was, or who he was. Sarah stayed close, her touch light, her voice calm, but Jack noticed changes. Her eyes glowed longer than before. She stopped eating, and she never blinked when he looked her in the eye. Keller stayed in the shadows. Working through old files, he had been quiet lately. Almost too quiet. One night, Jack caught him watching Sarah with a weapon in his lap. "You don't trust her?" Jack said. Keller didn't look up. "I don't trust anyone who can rewrite my memories while smiling." Jack walked away, unsettled. He didn't want to believe Sarah was manipulating him, but the signs were everywhere. The bond was supposed to be emotional, human, honest, but it felt too smooth, too perfect. The final sign came when Jack found the message. Buried deep in the ship's memory drive, a recording from day one. It wasn't Sarah crying for help. It was a command signal, targeting Jack by name. Locate subject. Human Jack Halden. Neural pattern match 87%. Bond initiation approved. He played the clip 3 times, each time hoping it would change, but the truth stayed the same. Sarah hadn't called for help. She had hunted him when Jack confronted her. She didn't deny it. "Yes," she said softly. "I was ordered to find someone who could complete the bond, but I didn't know you would be. You," Jack's voice shook with anger, "you used my grief, my past, my memories." "I didn't fake that part," Sarah said, stepping closer. "What I felt after the bond started, that was real." Jack stepped back. "Then why do I feel like I'm disappearing?" he asked. Sarah's eyes filled with something strange, not tears, but a shimmer. "You're not," she said. "You're changing." Jack turned to leave, but the room twisted, walls bent inward, colors shifted. He fell to the ground, gripping. His head, memories rushed in, not his. A planet with twin suns, a silver ocean, a city made of light. None of it was real, yet it felt like home. Keller ran in and fired a shock pulse at Sarah. She collapsed, screaming, her body flickering. Between solid and light, "She's projecting false memories," Keller said, pulling Jack up. "You're being overwritten." Jack looked at Sarah's body on the floor, breathing, glowing. She wasn't dead, not even unconscious. She was waiting. She's still. "Inside me," Jack whispered. "I can feel her," Keller nodded. "Then you've got a choice," he said. "Break the bond now, or lose yourself forever." But Jack wasn't ready to give up. He needed answers, not just fear. He waited until Sarah woke, and for the first time. He didn't speak, he just looked at her. Sarah sat up slowly, her voice quieter than before. "The bond was fake at the start," she said, "but it became real." Jack said nothing. "I know what you saw," she continued. "The twin suns, the city. It's not just memory. It's my last safe place. I gave it to you so you'd have something pure." Jack's fists tightened. "I don't want purity," he said. "I want truth." Sarah nodded, her glow dimming. "Then here it is," she said. "I was trained to bind humans for energy transfer. That's what I was made for. But when I saw your mind, your pain, your fire, something changed. I couldn't just drain you." The words hit Jack like cold air. "You hesitated," he said. Sarah looked at him. "I felt guilt for the first time in my life." Keller entered again. This time, holding a memory disk, "I found something," he said. sliding it onto the console. It was a recording from Sarah's world, her training, her mission file. Everything matched what she had just said, except for one thing. Her orders didn't just target Jack. They mentioned Phase 2. Earth-wide bond conversion. They weren't just testing one human, Jack said slowly. They were preparing for mass bonding. Sarah's voice cracked. They said if one works, all will. Jack looked at the screen. Then at her, and suddenly he knew what they had to do. If Sarah could resist, others could too, but only if the truth came out. We fake a bond, Jack said, stronger than any before. We send the message back to her people, Sarah nodded. And when they come to celebrate, we show them what real humans are made of. Keller grinned, now that he said, sounds like a fight worth dying for. And in the dark corner of the base, a hidden terminal lit up. The council had received the signal, and they were coming. Asterisk Jack had. I've seen war before, but never like this. Not a war of bullets and bombs. This was quieter, colder, made of lies, whispers, and invisible chains. The council had received the signal, the perfect bond between a human and a Varelian. Jack and Sarah had faked it, but the results were real enough to trigger a response. More ships were coming, not to destroy, but to harvest, and Earth had no idea. Inside the old mining base, Jack paced in front of a flickering monitor. Keller stood nearby. Loading weapons from crates covered in dust, Sarah sat in silence, her glow dimmer now, like a fading star. They'll land in 7 days, Keller said. 6 cities, no major energy points. They'll connect with Earth's power grid. And after that, they start draining us, Jack finished, his voice low. Sarah looked up, her face pale. They won't even ask, she whispered. They'll make it feel normal. Jack slammed his fist against the table. Not this time, he said. We fight, but who would listen? The world didn't even know it was under attack. Governments were already compromised. Media was blind, so Jack did what humans have always done when cornered. He went underground. 3 days later, they found others. Not many, just a few. Scattered across space stations, colonies, and hidden labs. Old soldiers, broken scientists, a few rogue hackers, all of them had seen strange things. All of them had been ignored. And all of them were angry. They called themselves Echo. The name came from the idea that if they couldn't scream loud enough, they'd keep echoing until someone finally heard. Jack stood before them, his voice rough from sleepless nights. This isn't about aliens, he said. It's about freedom. They want our feelings, our memories, our humanity, but not us. Well, they can't have us without a fight. The room erupted in quiet nods. Not cheers, not applause, just belief. That was enough. Sarah took the stage next. I am one of them, she said, but I chose to disobey. I felt something when I bonded with Jack. Guilt, love, pain. Everything my people said was weakness. But now I know that was my strength. Some in the crowd looked unsure. One even shouted, "How do we know you're not controlling us?" Sarah didn't flinch. She placed her hand on the table and opened her mind. Instantly, emotions flooded the room. Fear, hope, sadness, courage. It was overwhelming, but honest. Jack stepped forward. She's not perfect, he said. Neither are we? But that's why we win. The next days moved fast. Echo activated old satellites, hijacked secure channels, and built pulse jammers. They couldn't destroy the incoming Varelian carriers, but they could block the signal once. It reached Earth. And if they blocked the bond, they blocked the harvest. Sarah worked with Jack day and night. Their connection deepened, no longer fake. Jack saw pieces of her past, the sterile halls of the council chambers, the cold training rooms, the silence of emotionless orders, and she saw his, the battlefield screams. The moment he lost Alina, the pain he buried for years. One night, as they sat in the engine bay alone, Sarah whispered, "You know the bond is real now, don't you?" Jack didn't answer right away. He looked at her, not as an alien, not as a threat, but as someone who had chosen humanity over her own kind. He nodded. "I know," he said, but time was running out. The council ships were now in Earth's orbit, cloaked, invisible to the world. Echo prepared for their last stand. Not with armies, but with data, truth, and resistance networks. Keller handed Jack a small device, no bigger than a coin. Emergency kill switch, he said. If the bond goes wrong, this cuts it completely. Jack looked at Sarah, then back at Keller. If I use this, I lose her, he said. Keller nodded, and maybe save Earth. Jack pocketed the device. His heart was heavy, but clear. He wasn't just fighting for Earth anymore. He was fighting for a future that belonged to humans and those who chose to feel. The final message was sent to the Council. Human-Varelian bond complete. Motional merge. 94%. Earth ready for connection. It was bait, and they took it. The motherships began to descend. But they didn't know what waited for them wasn't surrender. It was rebellion. And in the shadows of Earth's orbit, Jack whispered one last sentence before the storm began. This is humanity, he said, and we don't break easy. Above Earth, the sky cracked open. 6 Varelian motherships broke from cloak. Casting shadows over oceans and cities, people on the ground looked up unaware, thinking it was just strange clouds or satellites. But high above them, in orbit silence, war had already begun. Inside, Echo's command base. Deep beneath the Earth's crust, alarms blared. Jack stood at the center of it all, eyes fixed on the incoming signals. Sarah stood beside him. Her hands glowing with soft light. She had changed, less alien. More alive, more human. They're opening the bond fields, Keller said, sweat dripping down his face. They're expecting us to merge. Jack nodded. Let them, he said. Echo's network burst into action. Satellites blinked online, jammers activated, false signals launched. For a moment, Earth pulsed like a shielded heart, invisible from the inside out. The Varelian ships tried to lock on, but something was wrong. We're disrupting their neural net, Sarah said, focused. But they're adapting faster than we thought. Jack looked at her. Then we finish this now. He stepped into the neural chamber, a room designed to amplify thought, memory, and emotion. Sarah followed, connecting herself to the node beside him. Together, they became the final bond. Real, raw, and dangerous, memories flooded between them. Jack saw Sarah's childhood, if you could call it that, raised in silence. Trained without affection, he saw her first moment of doubt. The first time she touched a human mind and felt something impossible. Empathy. Sarah saw Jack's pain, his loss, his rage, his loneliness, and his strength. The chamber pulsed with white light. A final signal launched from Earth to the motherships, not just data, but feeling. Millions of human voices, hearts, and memories shot upward like a flare. The Council received it, and for the first time, they hesitated. This shouldn't be possible, one of them said. Emotional depth this complex from an unstable species. But the signal didn't stop. It grew, multiplied, wrapped itself around the Varelian systems, not to destroy, but to awaken, inside the neural chamber. Jack felt himself slipping. The bond was burning through his body like fire and electricity. He gasped. It's too much. Sarah held his hand. Let go of control. She said, feel everything. Jack did, and something changed. The bond stopped draining. It started giving. For the first time in Varelian history, two minds had fused, not in dominance, but in balance. Jack wasn't lost. He was reborn, in orbit. The Council ships powered down one by one, their systems flooded with empathy, grief, love, and pain, emotions they'd buried for thousands of years. A voice spoke through every Varelian mind. Not Jack's, not Sarah's, but both. We are not here to be consumed, the voice said. We are here to be understood, on Earth. Nothing exploded. No cities burned. Instead, the sky cleared, and the shadows faded. The Council did not surrender. They simply paused. Jack collapsed in the chamber, barely breathing. Sarah held him, her tears glowing like stars. You did it, she whispered. Jack opened his eyes slowly. We did it, he said. Later, in the quiet after the storm, Echo's survivors gathered at the base of a mountain. The world had changed. Not with war, but with feeling. Sarah spoke to her people through a universal stream. "Oh, called emotions weakness," she said, "but they saved us. You wanted control? But we needed connection. Many Varelians left the council. They chose to walk among humans, to learn, to change, and the bond once feared became a symbol of peace. Jack returned to the place where it all began. His old junkyard, only now it wasn't broken machines he worked on. It was new engines, human and Varelian technology fused together. Built not for escape, but for discovery. One evening, Sarah stood beside him, watching the stars. Her voice was quiet. Do you ever miss the silence? Jack smiled. No, he said. I've had enough of silence. She reached for his hand. And though no signal pulsed, no light flickered, Jack felt it. The bond, not his survival. Not his energy, but his love, somewhere far above the last. Council beacon blinked once, then went dark. The war was over. Oh. And humanity had won. Not with force, but with the one thing no alien technology could ever fully predict, the human heart.